Hey everybody, I'm Jason, and welcome back to From Tree to Lumber, a YouTube channel about a guy and his sawmill. Well, it's maintenance day for the OS-18. I'm just getting ready for a busy autumn of milling and want to make sure that it's ready to be put to work. I am a big believer that regular maintenance is the key to keeping any machine running smoothly, and I have to admit to running this engine pretty hard lately. To get things started, I've moved the cutting head over to a concrete pad that I like to use for maintenance. It's just a lot easier to work on it here than it is to try to do things while it's still on the rails. This is the third oil change in just over 2 years, and just look how black that oil is. I have to say, regular oil changes really are essential for any small engine. I like to let it thoroughly drain before I put the drain plug back in place. It takes a fairly long but small funnel to reach the fill hole. It's kind of in an awkward spot to get to. The manual recommends 500 milliliters of 10W30. That's good down to about minus 30 degrees. I've found that measuring it out beforehand to be the best way to fill it. The 500 milliliters seems to be spot on. And my habits have me checking the oil every time I fill the gas tank. And I've only had to top it up once since the last oil change, which I think is pretty good. Okay, let's take a look at the air filter. This one has 2 layers of protection, a foam sleeve covering a paper filter underneath. The foam catches all the larger stuff, which is important with a sawmill, and it's pretty easily washed in a bit of soapy water. Once I'm happy it's well rinsed, I'll set it out in the sun for a while, dry it out, and then put it all back together. Okay, so here's just a couple of small things I'm going to check on the carburetor. First of all, in this fuel shut-off, the petcock, make sure it's off. And then there's a little bowl here at the bottom. And what it does is it will collect sediment as it comes through, so it doesn't make it through to the carburetor. It's not really a filter, but it's just a settlement bowl. Okay. See there in the bottom of my container, there's a couple of little pieces of garbage. So that's stuff that has settled out before it's made its way to the carb. You know, you don't want it getting in there and plugging up your jets. So, you know, every now and then, once a year, I just clean that out. And, you know, that's the most I've seen. But, you know, as the machine gets a little bit older, it's going to collect more and more. It does have a strainer in the gas cap, but still stuff gets through. A few months back, the pull cord broke on me, and although I was able to just cut it and retie the old cord at the time, I've noticed that I can feel that it's too short, and I'm sure it's well on its way to breaking again. So to fix it, I'm going to take off the entire recoil system and just replace that cord with some new stuff. For those that have never replaced a pull cord before, here is a very quick rundown. Simply cut out the old cord while paying close attention to the order that all the components are arranged in. This is important. Now, I buy all my cord in bulk, but even if you don't, the one you purchase will probably be too long. You want to cut your new cord slightly longer than the old one, taking into account that you're missing probably a few pieces and that you'll be adding a knot to each end. Then you will use a lighter and a leather glove to melt the fraying ends of the nylon and put the cord and all the little bits and pieces back onto the recoil in the exact order that you took them off. Then tie a tight knot at each end. Now, you don't have to worry about any tensioning of the unit yet. I like to give my finished knots just a little bit of heat to keep them extra tight. Once you've got it all back together again, maybe just double check that all your knots are nice and tight, and now we will be ready to put the tension back into it. This has a little notch which makes this next step kind of easier. What you do is you want to fish the cord up like this. Okay, you don't need to pull it all the way in, you just need enough. Okay, and you want to turn it in the way that engages, so it's engaging when you go that way, so you turn it. Okay, while holding onto this cord, put the cord in like that, give yourself a little bit of slack, okay, and then you want to turn it once, twice. Now it's starting to get a fair bit of tension. 3 times. I think it's still probably got one more in it, so let's go with 4 turns, okay? Then you pull this through. It's a little bit wound up. Okay, and then you just let this go, and there it pulls it in. And see that? It's got nice tension, right? Snaps back. Got a brand new pull cord in there. It's that easy. All right, that's all I had planned on doing to this engine. From here on in, we're going to concentrate on the actual Frontier cutting head. So Frontier sells a spares package which includes all the regular wear items. I can't remember what it actually cost, but I just remember it was very reasonable. It includes a new set of belts, both the main drive belt and for the idler pulley. It has a set of lifting cables, and those are the ones that adjust the cutting height. There is a new throttle cable, which is quite handy because I broke mine almost immediately. A winch cable, which is what actually holds the cutting head in place once the height is set. It's adjustable with a little tensioning knob. There is a new set of felt wipers, which keep debris from the track getting into your roller wheels. A set of guides and guide bearings. And finally, a set of main bearings for the two large cast blade pulleys. So I'm not really sure how much of that I'm going to need right away, but I know I'm going to need some of it. And it's awfully nice to know that I've got it kind of laying around in case I do need it, because it kind of sucks having to wait for stuff to come in when you order it, right? All right, let's look at the cables that they've sent. So they've sent the ones for raising and lowering, which are the ones that come up around this pulley, around that pulley, then back up to the cranking arm. All right. Now, what I've been doing with those is you can kind of get to them through the top, and I just take a little bit of deep creep, and I just spray them like every now and then. So it's not to lubricate them. It's more to keep them from rusting, to be honest with you. So just a small amount, and these cables are in really nice shape. I've kind of kept an eye on them, and because you don't want those going, it would be a real problem. Okay, so the other thing I like to do is you do have to adjust this winch cable every now and then. What happens is as the cutting head goes along, this will vibrate and it will lower. You'll find that your wood is a different thickness at each end. So every now and then you just have to give this a little turn. And I found that because I keep my machine outside, even though it's covered, that has seized on me and has been a bit of a problem. So I just put a drop of oil on it kind of every couple of months, and I haven't had a problem since. So what I'm going to do right now is just pop off that blade, inspect my belts, and check out the bearings on these big drive wheels. All right, so this is the wheel on the right hand side as you're looking at the front. All right, and let's just give it a spin. Yeah, those bearings are just fine. If there was a problem with these bearings, you would hear it when it's operating. They would either squeal or growl or make some kind of noise, and I've never ever heard any problems with it. So that side's good. Let's take a look at the other side. Okay, listen carefully. This side's quite a bit louder and has a noticeable click. So that indicates that these bearings definitely need replacing. All right, so we've got a dust cap. It comes off pretty easy. And it's probably a 5/8. Yep, we'll just pop that off. Okay, so I pulled out the manual for this thing, and it's quite handy. So it looks like we've got a circlip, a bearing, a circlip, a bearing, and a circlip. So we'll have to take the two outside circlips off and then punch it out from the middle, which hopefully won't be that bad. These bearings are definitely pooched, by the way. This side should be easier. I'll just put this big socket in. Try that. Just rivet them both out the same side. Had I known, but oh well, that's life. cool. So this bearing has really just about seized it. It's got a click right there. So yeah, time for those to go. Okay, here's the new bearings, nice and free. So installation is the reverse of disassembly. So all you have to do, very carefully tap around the outside edge. You never tap on the inside, right? And it's steady as she goes. There's absolutely no hurry at all. So remember, the diagram showed a circlip in between the bearings. There's actually just a thrust washer. Had I known it was there, I could have driven both bearings out in one direction. But that's okay. It's done now, and I'll know if there's a next time. Okay, it's in. Look at that. This is just a dust seal, right? This doesn't really do anything all that critical, but it's there, so let's try to get it back on. That's better. So the last two items in the kind of drive mechanism inside the housing is this idler pulley, which keeps tension on the belt, and then there's the clutch that comes off the engine and engages as the RPMs go up. I should probably look into what kind of bearings that idler pulley needs, and maybe to having a spare clutch here just in case this one goes. It's been a while, and they do go eventually, so might be worth having on hand. Okay, so I've got a nice original Frontier drive belt. So I go back and forth on these drive belts. I buy them locally. I buy them from Princess Auto. I buy them from wherever. If I really had to push on this, I would say that the Frontier belts are better. They just seem to last longer. You know, the only complaint I have, and it's not anything to do with the belts, and it's not anything to do with Frontier, is I have to order them and they have to get shipped in, and the price of shipping these days is kind of heavy, you know. So along with the spare parts kit, I also brought in a case of new blades, and these are the new Blue Flex blades, which apparently last a little bit longer and give an improved cut. So I'm kind of looking forward to trying them out. I'll let you know how they work out in upcoming videos. I've got the blade all tensioned up, and I've checked the tracking. Everything's good. The last thing I want to do is just check my my guides. So I use this little piece of stainless steel. It's about 3 millimeters thick. I kind of use it as a feeler gauge, and I use it to just double check the gap between the blade and the guides. I set these not all that long ago, so they're pretty good, but it's always a good idea to check because a lot of stuff does happen when you're cutting. Right underneath the cutting head, there is a rail where the movable guide and blade protector pass. It tends to dry out, and I like to keep a little bit of grease on it. So it's very difficult to get a grease gun on that little nipple. It's really tight in there. So I usually just end up smearing grease kind of all over that rail, moving it back and forth just to make sure it's mobile. And I do that a couple times a year, and it seems to keep it moving. And that's all I've had planned for this little bit of preventative maintenance. Once again, I am a big believer that it is far better to deal with problems before they occur and can shut things down. I feel good about going into an active fall and winter of sawmilling, and thank you very much for watching. I've got some cool stuff coming up, and your subscription is appreciated.